All right, I'm here with Cody Moran and Zach Prescott about my capstone, which is continuing your athletic career in college. Could either of you guys just give me a little bit of background about yourselves?
Yeah. So I like you and Zach was a Weymouth High School athlete in cross country and track and field. And eventually I got to the point where was lucky enough to compete at UMass Lowell for 5 years. I graduated in 4, don't worry. But COVID got me an extra one. And so I ran cross country and track and field for UMass Lowell, and now I'm coaching track at Weymouth High School back at the old house.
Yeah, similar to Cody and you guys, I ran for Weymouth, and then was able to run at Boston University, which was awesome. I only ran for 4 years, didn't end up taking my 5th year. My 5th year would have been during COVID, so it was probably a good call that I decided not to do that. And then after that, I've been coaching at a couple of different places. I was on the coaching staff, director of operations at the Naval Academy for a little while, and now I am at American University. So I'm staying within the Patriot League, but having a blast.
Very nice. All right, the first question of the day is, how did you know you wanted to continue your athletic career in college?
I guess we're in the order, so
Go back and
so I basically, the nice thing about running is times don't really lie. So you kind of get to a point where if you're enjoying it, you know that you're at a high level or not. So coaches started to reach out and it becomes an option. And I knew that it was something that I wanted to do just because I felt like I had a little more in the tank, and wanted to keep it going. As long as you like it, you gotta do what you love. So that was really what caused me to keep chasing the dream.
Yeah, I unlike the two of you who are much better than I was in high school, based on the leaderboards of Weymouth High, I definitely wanted to keep doing it as more of a recreation at first. I know myself, and I knew that being busier in college was probably going to lead to more success than not. So the places that I had applied to academically, I kind of just reached out to the coaches and said, hey, can I walk onto the team? One of the schools that I was thinking about the best would be you, and the coach there let me on, which is awesome. I got a lot better in college, which was great. So I had the opportunity to get significantly better as a walk-on, which is really cool. Not really necessarily my expectations joining. I wasn't like a recruited or scholarship athlete, but kind of got to that point throughout my college career. So that was pretty cool. But yeah, I just kind of did it because I knew that I loved running and I wanted to keep doing it.
All right, thank you. And what was, I know you kind of already answered it, but what was that process of joining the team like for you?
It was a big switch up a little bit just because it was, a lot more intense. So I had, my growing years, as I'm sure Zach did as well in there. First year I was not very sharp, especially the first, I don't know, 6 months of it. I was a pretty bad runner, honestly, probably doing as bad as I'd ever done anyway. So it was really about, and I thank a lot of good teammates that I had at that point to kind of keep you along and keep you positive, because it comes.
Yeah, no, similarly, Cody, I struggled my first year. I had a femoral stress fracture after about 3 months. So it's a big difference kind of, when you increase volume and you start increasing intensity. Plus you're trying to transition as an athlete, it's hard to, transition to living on your own and eating on your own, doing all that kind of stuff. So similar to Cody, I had some really great leaders around me who kind of encouraged me to stick with it. And even though I was not great off the bat, kind of keep plugging and be patient. So it took a while, but eventually it clicked.
And what was like the biggest difference you noticed between high school and college athletics?
Well, for me, it was more my own attitude and having to grow up a little bit myself. I think that I was lucky enough to just kind of skate by, as far as training wise in high school. And I mean, we trained hard and we were given a lot of good opportunities to train, but I think sometimes I was not as focused as I should have been on those in the summers or on stuff that was on your own. So it was a wake up call because, when everyone is that much better than you, it's, do you really want to do this? And I kind of had to focus up and find a love for going for a run. Like that was something that was never really part of the game for me. It was, I love to race. I like to maybe work out hard. I like to beat people. I like to win. That was fun. And then, you have to, the longer you do this thing, you got to like when you put the shoes on every day. You have to kind of find the love for that, or you're going to be pretty miserable. So I was lucky enough that I found it, no problem. So, and that was, yes, that's a big difference for me.
Yeah, mine was pretty similar. I mean, I think the biggest thing for me was just, I never found myself in high school making sacrifices for track and field or for my sport. I kind of just did it as an activity. And then kind of once I made that transition, I found that in order to be really successful at the next level, I mean, we were both Division I athletes, so you're competing against the best in the country. So in order to be successful at that level, there has to be a level of sacrifice. There has to be, like, you're not staying up till 1 a.m. every day. If you can't avoid it, you're not going out with maybe the other, general population, your students. So there's sacrifices that you have to make in a way that you don't as a high school athlete. You're just kind of doing it. Even if you are doing it at a high level, I think there's less sacrifices that have to be made there. But once I got to college, I definitely noticed it was a bit of more of a lifestyle than just a thing that I did.
And like, how would you say you balance? Because I know you said you had to make sacrifices. So in college, how did you balance academics and athletics?
Yeah, I'll go now. Well, we can switch it up now. Let's give Cody a chance to think. No, I think it's a transition. So I did it better every single year. You just learn time management. I think, one of the things I'll always encourage my athletes that I coach now to put on their resume in big bold letters is that they were Division I athletes, because there's no better time managers in the world, because you're kind of forced into that pressure cooker, and you either have to sink or swim kind of with it. And so you have to make sure that you're finding space for it. But I think I've always been the kind of person that having segmented time makes me more productive. So knowing that, if I don't get my homework done between the hours of 4 and 7, then it's not getting done because I have to do all this other stuff the next day. So it's nice to be able to have that kind of chunks of time. I think if I wasn't an athlete, I would have 8 hours of work to do my homework and none of it would get done because I would have no structure to it. So that's nice.
Yeah. On that note, I'll have to give my college coach a shout out. And this is just one of his signature lines, so I don't mind stealing it at all. And he says it, the first meeting we had as a team that I was there, and he does it every single year. And he says, this is Gary Gardner, he Messel, great guy. But he says in college there's 3 things that are what you will be doing: athletics, academics, and your social life. He said the thing is, you're only going to be really good at 2 of them. So that's kind of the point of it. It's, if you want to be going out on the weekends every night and, not really focusing up in that aspect, and let's just say you are dedicated to your training and things like that, and, you're really locked in all the races and stuff and you're getting it all done, something's going to give. And that's probably going to be academics. And then all of a sudden you're not doing academics, then you're not eligible to run. And then you got one thing, then you're just got the social life. So there's a million ways to crack it, or actually only like 3 ways to crack it. But he's pushing you towards picking academics and athletics, and you got to put the social life on the back burner a little bit. I mean, we're very lucky that running is the most social sport. We don't have mouth guards in, so we can chat the whole time, which is pretty good. And I mean, so you're really not missing out on social life too much, unless you're just thinking about, college shenanigans. But you're going to have very good friends the whole time, which is great. And you're going to spend a lot of cool time with them and go a lot of cool places and do, meaningful stuff. So really, you're not sacrificing the social, but as far as college shenanigans, you are.
And did you believe that you did as well as you did with your student athlete college career? Like, did you believe you did as well as you thought you would? That makes sense.
That's a good question. I think every Division I athlete will tell you that they had a little bit more for the most part. Like I think you kind of have to have that mindset of like, oh, I can get better, I can get better, I can get better. Like if I had another year of this, I'd get even better. Just because that's kind of the mindset you have to have as an athlete. It's like, okay, there's always room to grow. So I'll say no, because I think there's always a part of you that's like, oh, I could have got more out of myself. But with the tools that I had, I think if you had asked me my freshman year, did you think you were going to run those times? Do you think you were going to have that much of an impact on the team? I probably would have said no. So, if you ask freshman year, go college Zach, no. If you ask like post-collegiate college Zach, like, hell yeah, I could run a hell of a lot faster.
Yeah, no, I I think the exact sentiment I agree with. I mean, I came in dead last in my first two collegiate races. So to see that, I ended up, being a guy that was scoring points at conference meets and, trying to have an outside shot at getting to regionals, never pulled it off, So that's what's left in the tank. Give me another year maybe, but stuff like stuff like that. I mean, even you can ask David how I am in practice. I think he saw me sprinting some 20-meter flies yesterday, and I think I yelled, "I still got it." So there's stuff left in the tank for sure. That was something that I did a good job of. I never had a stress injury. I never did anything like that, anything long term other than like a twisted ankle. So I think that I didn't really push that line. And I'm glad I didn't for a lot of reasons. But you always can think, hey, what if I was, not taking all the easy runs so easy? What if I was bumping up the mileage a little more? How much better could I have been if I upped the intensity? And the answer is probably not that much. You can ask Coach Zach. It usually doesn't work out. But, that's what the pros do. They toe the line a little bit, see how they can push the limit. So I never pushed the limit. So there was some left.
And what would either of you say your biggest challenge was as an athlete in college, and how did you overcome that?
I would say it's probably similarly what a lot of there's two. Similarly what a lot of people face is this idea of walking onto a team formerly as the best runner on your team, and then all of a sudden you're the worst runner on your team. And there's something about that makes it's hard to transition that mindset of like, okay, I'm gonna get my butt kicked for a year and a half and maybe I'll get good. I think that's just a challenge in and of itself. And then for myself personally, walking on and having a pretty much immediate, very serious injury was hard because it was like, oh, I'm even bothering to do this if I can't handle the load. I can't handle 70 miles a week. What's the point? But again, I had great leadership to kind of convince me to keep doing it, to kind of trust the process. So I was led out of that challenge in a great way by my peers, which is nice.
Yeah. What's funny? I was thinking about this question, trying to come up with more of a philosophical answer, like, something overarching. And the one thing that kept coming to mind was just like a small thing that every college athlete's going to have to get used to. And for me, it was traveling. I wasn't good at racing on the road a lot of times. And so I had to figure out how to, take those bus rides and, what to do in the hotel room when you have nothing to do all day and things like that. Because sometimes I would wake up, I've ran Paul Short once. I remember the open race it feels like it was at 6 a.m., but it's not that early. It's probably like 7, 8 a.m. And it was, I just remember feeling so flat. Like I must have ate all the wrong things on the bus ride over there. And I had a terrible sleep in the hotel because it wasn't my bed and things like that. And it's tough because that's your most important meets in college. You're usually not going to be sleeping in your own bed. So I luckily turned that around a little bit towards the end, but it was a growing stage for sure of how to do that. I think everyone will have to figure out. Some people love it though.
All right. And one of the last questions, probably one of the most important, because this kind of covers my topic. And it would be like, if you could give advice to a high school student thinking of playing a sport in college, what would it be?
Lots of advice. I feel like my whole job is doling out advice to potential future college athletes. But I think do it. My number one is usually do it with intention. Do it because you really want to do it, not because you feel like you have to. I was a pretty good athlete in college, so it's kind of the thing I want to do. If there's no will, there's no way. If there's no real deep-seated desire to be a great standout athlete at the next level, it's never going to happen. It's just too many hours they have to commit to it. There's too much intensity that you have to commit to, and too much sacrifice that you have to make in order to be successful at it. That just doing it, half-assed, frankly, just isn't worth it. You might as well just kind of put your commitment and time somewhere else. So my advice would definitely be if you're going to do it because you want to, and do it with full commitment. Do it 100% because that's the best way to get something out of it, and then you don't have to finish. Either not make it through or finish thinking I could have gotten more out of myself.
Yeah, my idea comes from the exact way he's thinking. I mean, you pretty much just control what you can. You know what I mean? You are going to be given mileage. You're going to be given training. Do that. Talk to your coach about it. Why are we doing this? What's going on here? But other than that, it's about checking the box, showing up every day, being on time, and just having a good attitude. I come from a very large track team at UMass Lowell. We would have maybe 20 to 30 distance guys on the roster at a time. So, yeah, I've had about 50 to 60 teammates that never even ran at a conference meet, but they're some of my best friends in the world. And you could see that they got a lot better and were getting a lot out of it. And the ones that showed up all the time and had good attitudes, at the end of the day, they optimized their experience, even without running that well. Like, they brought everyone up around them and they brought themselves up in the same path. So I would say just show up and have a good attitude. As I said, I came in dead last twice, but I did come to practice every day and I had a good attitude, so I didn't get cut. So it's not that there's that many cuts. I don't know if Zach's taken anyone out yet, but
No, I mean, to that note, I mean, we have a couple walk-ons on the team right now that aren't performing on the tracks, from a number standpoint, from a time standpoint, but they come working harder than everybody else. And I tell them every day, I'm never going to cut you if you keep showing up like that. So exactly like Cody's saying, the athletes that show up with the best attitude are usually the ones that get better fastest.
All right, that pretty much does it. Thank you both for your time.
You know it.
Yeah.
problem.